Happy Tuesday, everyone. You can probably kind of see me up in the corner up here. Hey, how's it going? So today what we're going to be talking about is we are going to be talking about multiplying two matrices together. Okay? And in order to do that, we have to remember back to yesterday when we talked about the number one rule of matrices. And the number one rule of matrices is that everything is rows by columns. Everything in matrices is rows by columns. And multiplication of two matrices is going to be the same, rows by columns. Okay? So, with that being said, let's do this. Okay? So, matrix multiplication is where we are going to start. We did scalar multiplication yesterday, so the first thing that we have to do is we have to look at the dimensions. Okay? We're going to multiply matrices. The very first thing that we have to do is we have to look at the dimensions. And we work left to right. So these would be the dimensions of the left matrix, the matrix on the left side of our multiplication. These would be the dimensions of the matrix on the right side. We can only multiply two matrices at a time. We can't do three at once. We can only do two at a time. So it's left and right, and we have to look at those two. And this has to be true. If this is not true, we cannot multiply those two matrices together. Every matrix cannot be multiplied together. Okay? Only special ones, and that special ones have these two matching dimensions in the middle. So the columns of the first one are the same as the rows, or the number of columns in the first one is the same as the number of rows in the second. Okay? So those two numbers have to be true. And then the cool thing is that the other two numbers are the dimensions of your answer. So these two matrices, a 3 by 2 matrix and a 2 by 1 matrix, can be multiplied together, and the result, my answer, is going to be a 3 by 1 matrix. Okay? If those middle two numbers aren't the same, again, you cannot multiply. And you have to check that every single time. You can't get away without checking. Okay? So when you look at the dimensions, we look again to see that these two numbers are the same. If those two numbers are the same, yeah, 3 is the same as 3, then we can multiply them, and then these two outside dimensions are going to be the result. What are the dimensions of the resultant matrix for the problem below? So if I multiplied a 2 by 3 matrix by a 3 by 5 matrix, I'd get a 2 by 5 matrix. Okay? These two, again, I look at these middle two numbers. Those aren't the same, so this is not possible. Can't multiply those two together, so we can't do that problem. If this were our problem, we wouldn't be able to do it because those middle two numbers are the same. If we switched them, however, if I took the matrix that was originally on the right and I multiplied it by the matrix that was originally on the left, now these two numbers are the same. And that result would be a 3 by 2 matrix. Okay? So order matters in matrix multiplication. Can't get around it. Order matters in matrix multiplication. Okay? To multiply matrices, it's very simple. We'll go over more of this on Wednesday. I just want to kind of talk to you a little bit about what's going to happen with preview of what's going to happen on Wednesday. So this might be what the problem looks like. Okay? So we might have, we would have to come in here and we would have to say, okay, we've got 1, 2, 3 rows. So this is a 3 by 1, 2 columns. So that's a 3 by 2 matrix. This is a 1, 2 rows by 1 column matrix. So then we look at these two numbers here. Are they the same? Yepper, those are the same. So my resultant matrix over here is going to be a 3 by 1 matrix. Okay? And everything, first row or first rule of matrices is rows by columns. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take this first row times this first column, and that's going to go here tomorrow. Then we're going to take this second row times this column, and that's going to go there. And then we're going to take this last row times the column, and that's going to go there. We'll do that tomorrow. What I want you to learn today, though, is that the dimensions have to be the same in the middle. Those two must be equal in order to do it. Thanks for playing along. I promised you it would be under 10 minutes, and we are under 10 minutes. We'll see you tomorrow in class.